Hello everyone, we're hanging out on the Star Wars The Old Republic test server, and we're going to be checking out the Operative and its changes from the expansion coming up, 7.0 Legacy of the Sith, which will be launching on February 15th, 2022. We're about a month away from the expansion launching, so we don't know if this will be the final changes to the class or if there will be more changes along the way to the Scoundrel and its mirror, the Operative. But we are going to take a look and see what we can find that's going to be different. As far as I can tell, there is quite a few changes. So first off, if you aren't familiar with it, here is the new abilities sheet. You can see I can change between medicine, concealment, and lethality, much like before. And you can see over here is my tree. If you're familiar with the old utilities system, that has gone away, and many of the utilities have been merged into this tree. This tree does not show you every ability that you get as an operative. Instead, it shows you any ability that is directly tied to your discipline choice. So, for example, as the concealment operative, laceration. Anything that's a choice, you can see I can choose between these three. And any passives are on the right directly related to my tree. So you'll notice that nowhere in my tree does it show something like my Fragmentation Grenade, because it's just kind of a base of the operative. Alright, so let's jump into our tree. I'm going to start off with Concealment. This is the one I know how to play the most of the three. At level 23, you're going to pick up Stim Boost and Laceration, much like you would before. But where it starts getting interesting is that at level 27, you get to change the way that your main ability, Laceration, works. So by default, to use Laceration is grayed out, and you need tactical advantage to use it, and it's just a single target, hard-hitting attack. So at 27, you can pick between three different abilities. So the first is Defensive Stance. Dealing damage with Laceration applies a defensive stance to you, increasing your damage reduction by 3% per stack. Lasts for 6 seconds and stacks up to 3 times, so changing it from offensive to a very defensive ability. Second is Roll Knife. Laceration's critical hit chance is increased by 10%. Activating Laceration reduces Stim Boost cooldown by 10%. And lastly, Relentless Blades. Laceration no longer costs energy, and it slows the target by 50% for 6 seconds. So you can make it more defensive, you can make it not cost ammo and become a slow, or you can just make it straight up more damage by a higher crit chance, and also reduces the cooldown of Stim Boost. So it's going to be interesting. Someone's going to have to look at the math between these two and see if it's better to have more energy available so you can do more damage elsewhere. So at level 35, you will also have another choice. And one thing you will notice is that Debilitate, your 4-second stun, is no longer automatically on your bars. It is now something that you must choose if you want it. So if you really want that 4-second stun, you got to choose it at level 35. And here are the two other options. So the first is Curbing Strategies. Noxious Knives deals 25% more damage and reduces the movement speed of targets they damage by 40% for 6 seconds. So if you're using your big knife attack, it'll do extra damage and slow. And the other option is Quick Countermeasures. Reduces the cooldown of evasion by 15 seconds. In addition, activating evasion quickly lowers threat by a moderate amount. Increases movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So evasion, where is it in my bars? Isn't it even on my bars? This is the problem from going on the test server. I didn't make sure everything was actually on there properly. Here we go. Yeah, it's on there. So evasion kind of becomes a threat drop, and it kind of becomes stronger, a better defensive ability. So it's very strange. You choose between doing a slow and extra damage with your Noxious Knives, a 4-second stun, or extra defensive and threat drop with your evasive ability. So next up at level 39, you'll automatically get Crippling Slice, much like you would before. And that is your it also roots your target, allows them not to move or turn for 4 seconds. But at level, and it's kind of an important part of your basic attack as well. Oh, no, it's not. Do I even use that? As a concealment operative, I think I'm doing something wrong if it's considered a main ability. But at level 43, you can change the way it works. You can change it so it throws a knife at the target and immobilizes it, preventing it from moving. Oh, that's interesting. So it looks like it becomes a ranged 10-meter target. And then the other option is the best defense. Crippling Slice applies a debuff on the enemy that lowers damage to you by 20% for 6 seconds, so makes it very defensive. And lastly is Crippling Wounds. Crippling Slice causes the next direct damage attack against the target to critically hit. This effect lasts 10 seconds, so just a damage boost. And then at level 47, you're going to have 3 to choose between. And you'll notice that Tactical Overdrive, which resets the ability to use your Stim Boost, is now no longer something that you have automatically. It is once again a choice in your tree. So that comes at level 47. And it will also reset the cooldown of Volatile Substance, Backstab, and Shield Probe, and increases your mastery for 20%. So it's also a buff. The other 2 options are Tactical Critical. Critically hitting with a direct damage attack applies Tactical Critical to you and reduces the cooldown of Stim Boost by 2 seconds for every stack of Tactical Critical on you. Stacks up to 5 times and lasts 2 seconds. Activating Stim Boost purges movement-based effects. And lastly, Advanced Stealth. Gaining a tactical advantage with an attack that breaks stealth applies Active Stealth for 3 seconds. While you're in Active Stealth, your chance to dodge melee and range attacks is increased by 20%, and your next direct damage attack critically hits. Dealing or taking damage breaks Active Stealth. So there is a lot going on. So this makes it a very defensive ability, but also a very offensive ability because you get a critical hit on your next attack. This one is a very active boost to a lot of things, but you have to manually click it. You have to pay attention to it. So if you're a player who struggles to keep track of everything, you've got a very easy choice here. Just don't pick this one. And if you're a player who wants to do max damage, we're going to have to watch and see people theory craft and see what they come up with as being the best solution at level 47. So at level 51, you're going to pick up a volatile substance, much like you would before. And then at level 60, you'll start making the same choices between lethality, concealment, and medicine as well. These choices don't really change between the 3 different disciplines. So at level 60, you'll choose between 3 different passives. The first is Infiltrator, increases movement speed by 15% and effective stealth level by 3. So very movement focused. Second, oh, you said it increased by 20%. It says 200%. Yes. So for this advanced stealth up here, this is 200%. So advanced stealth, that movement focused one at level 60. Level 60's second choice is advanced cloaking. Reduces the cooldown of Cloaking Screen by 30 seconds, and activating Cloaking Screen increases movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So once again, very movement and stealth focused. And third, level 60, increases damage reduction by 5%. So probably pretty useful to have if you're not able to stealth around. Just take less damage. At level 64, you'll pick up Veiled Strike, another very important ability in your operative tree. And at level 68, you'll make another choice. And all of these are passives. The first is Med Shield. Your shield probe heals you for 5% of your maximum health when it collapses. The second option is Endorphin Rush. Adrenaline probe now immediately restores 15 additional energy instead of, so it'll go from 50 to 65. And lastly, Evasive Screen. When activated, Cloaking Screen grants 2 seconds of evasion. And so just 3 to choose from. At level 73, you'll actually actively choose between 3 clickable abilities, and at level 73 is kind of the rough choice for all different classes and disciplines and combat styles, whatever you want to call them. Everyone has a difficult choice to make. Some are more difficult than others. So here, let's take a look at the operatives, and I think this is going to be a kind of a tough, sad one, but they're very situational. So I think you should be able to figure out which one you want. So the first one is Infiltrate. Cloaks all group members within 10 meters of you in a temporary stealth field. So if you're playing PvP, this can be used very, very tactically to hide your group and take them with you on a little trip around the arena. If you're playing in PvE, sometimes people use this in Flashblades to sneak past enemies, and it's a very cool looking ability, but it's not as often used in PvE, I think. The second option is Flashbang, which is your 8-second stun that breaks on damage that also reduces the target's accuracy for 8 seconds afterwards. So this one can be very, very useful in PvP as well. It stuns enemies. If you are a solo player who takes a lot of damage, you can use this to stun all 8 enemies around you and then, you know, just kind of hit. Oh, I think it's only, is it a single target or multi-target? I think this one's actually only a single target, my bad. Doesn't say otherwise. You can use it to reduce damage incoming to you. And lastly, my favorite ability, and the one that I'm kind of sad is on the tree instead of being a default, is Hollow Traverse. And this allows you to kind of jump to your target very quickly, and it also technically makes you move a little faster. The Operative does already have a really nice movement-focused ability called your Roll, and specifically Exfiltrate. And you still get to roll twice as a Concealment Operative right off the bat. So you technically shouldn't need Hollow Traverse to get around too quickly, but I love having it. So those are your 3 level 73 choices that are huge, and you're going to be making those choices across all 3 disciplines. Lastly, at level 78, you're going to have Evasive Imperative as your first option. Every time you get attacked, the active cooldown of your evasion is reduced by 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. So next up, Jarring Strike. When used from stealth, backstab, and lethal strike, interrupt and knock down the target for 3 seconds. Player targets are immobilized for 3 seconds rather than being knocked down. And lastly, Blow for Blow. Activating evasion grants Blow for Blow, returning 150% of direct single target tech and force damage taken back to the attacker while evasion is active. So now let's take a quick look at our bars compared to the live server. So the first one you'll notice that is missing is Tactical Overdrive. And once again, that's just a choice in the level 47 tree branch. And so you can actively choose to have it or choose something else instead. Second is your Debilitate, which is your 4-second stun. May not be on there automatically. You choose it at level 35 between some other options that are available. You'll have your Infiltrate, the big group stealth, won't be automatically chosen. And neither will Flashbang and Hollow Traverse. Those will be a choice between 3. So you'll be missing 2 at any given time. And lastly, one that you may notice that isn't necessarily talked about on the trees here is your Revive ability, where you can revive other players in combat. And I can't even remember what it's actually called. Resuscitation Probe? That is going to be solely for the Medicine Operative. It's no longer going to be available to the 2 damage disciplines, and that's across the board for all classes. Revive in battle is going to be purely for healers. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the passives real fast. I'm not going to read them out. You guys can just pause the video and see what it says. Oh, you can't see it. Here you go. At level 1, you'll have Scouting. At level 23, you'll have Collateral Strike. At level 35, you'll have Tactical Opportunity. At level 43, you'll have Culling. At level 51, you'll have Acid Blade. At level 60, you'll have Prey on the Weak. At level 68, you'll have Shadow Operative Elite. At level 73, you'll have Revealing Weakness. And at level 78, Calculated Frenzy. So if you want to read those, just go back and pause the video. So next up, we're going to go check out Lethality. This one I have not played quite as much, but is the dot-focused spec. And so there's a lot of AoE, a lot of dot spreads, stuff like that. So once again, you'll notice on my trees, just like we talked about a few seconds ago, you'll have this really big choice at 73 between Infiltrate, your group stealth, Flashbang, your group stun, and Hollow Traverse, your little teleport. And those are one of 3. You can only choose one. And you'll also notice, once again, you won't have your Resuscitation Probe. It is a choice. And at level 35, you also have a choice for your single stun, 4-second stun. And we'll go over the actual options. And Tactical Overdrive, once again, is a choice. So if your bars look different, that's why a majority is just hidden in the tree now. Okay, so let's take a look at what the Lethality Operative actually looks like on the test server. So at level 23, you'll pick up Stim Boost, much like before, and you'll pick up Corrosive Assault. And here's where it gets interesting. At level 27, you can change the way Corrosive Assault works. And so this one, you have to have Tactical Advantage available to use it. And it's a single target attack by default, and it does damage over time as well. So how can it change? Corrosive Return is the first option. If Corrosive Assault would reduce your tactical advantage to 0, it is refunded instead. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds. Stim Boost lasts 5 seconds longer. So this will be a really great choice for anyone who's not very good at keeping track of the buffs, or buffs and debuffs. So you could just apply it once and then, and then kind of spam it. So Penetrating Strategies. Increases the armor penetration, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage of Corrosive Assault by 10%. So it's just straight up big damage boost. And lastly, Corrosive Impair. Corrosive Assault deals 10% additional weapon damage and slows the target by 50% for 6 seconds, so turning it into a slow. Once again, we'll kind of have to wait till people can do the math to figure out what exactly is the best one, but probably the highest damage is going to be that center one. So at level 35, you'll have a choice of 3, with one of them being your 4-second stun, but your other ones are going to be different than Concealment. So the first choice is Curbing Strategies. Noxious Knives deals 25% more damage and reduces the movement speed of targets they damage by 40% for 6 seconds. And I lied, it's not actually different. The second option is Sly Countermeasures, increases the duration of evasion by 2 seconds. In addition, activating evasion instantly lowers threat by a moderate amount. So if you're just running around killing stuff, you'd probably just dump your points into this Curbing Strategies one. But if you're trying to be strategic, these ones you'll have to look into a little more. Corrosive Grenade, an important part of your Lethality Operative, comes at level 39. But at level 43, you get to change the way it works. So at the moment, it's a grenade. You chuck it at a single target and it explodes and hits everything around it and does damage over time. And they're also slowed. So here's how it can change. The first option is Critical Grenade. Corrosive Grenade increases the critical hit damage of your periodic poison effects to target effects by 10%. So it's just straight up nice damage boost if you're doing everything right. Second is Corrosive Refund. Corrosive Grenade refunds 2 energy for each target it hits. So that's very interesting. We kind of had 2 different abilities so far that make it easier to play. I don't know if the stats will add up, making them the best way to play, but it might be a really nice way to shake things up if you're struggling to keep your energy and your buffs and debuffs rolling. You can kind of just button mash a little more. And lastly, Corrosive Defense. Corrosive Grenade deals 10% more initial damage and grants 2% damage reduction per target it hits for 10 seconds. Nice, so it makes it a more defensive ability if you need that. Alright, at level 47, you got a choice of 3, with one of them being your Tactical Overdrive, which is a kind of a big part of doing max damage with Concealment and Lethality right now. You really have to be actively taking advantage of it. But it resets the cooldown of Stim Boosts, as well as Lethal Strike, Toxic Haze, and Shield Probe, and increases your mastery by 20% for 15 seconds. What's interesting is, in the expansion, your mastery stat is going to be more useful than it was in the previous expansion. It might actually apply some extra damage, if that makes sense. Okay, so the 2 other options are, I love this little icon of a Pazak deck. Tactical Offense. Having a tactical advantage increases all damage and healing dealt by 5%. So if you have one of these, oh, I don't have my buff bar showing, but if you have a tactical advantage on you and keep it, you can get some increased damage. And lastly, Stim Boost purges movement impairing effects and maxes out your tactical advantage. And that's your Stim Boost again. Okay, at level 51, you'll pick up your Toxic Blast, much like you had before. And then at level 60, you'll start making those exact same choices as you would on the Concealment Operative that we went over earlier. The big one being at level 73, picking between Infiltrate, your group Stealth, Flashbang, your group Stun, and Holotraverse, your little Teleport. So I will show you the passives for Lethality if you wanted to take a look at those. The first one is Toxic Regulators. At level 23, you'll pick up License to Kill. At level 35, you'll pick up Fatality. At level 43, you'll pick up Lethal Proliferation. At level 51, you'll pick up Corrosive Microbes. At level 60, you'll pick up Lethal Purpose. At level 68, you'll pick up Quickening. At level 73, you'll pick up Devouring Microbes. And lastly, at level 78, you'll pick up Augmented Toxins. Okay, so let's move on to the final spec, and that is Medicine. And you'll notice my Resuscitation Probe came back automatically when I was in the Medicine spec. So I've got, as far as I can tell, I keep all of my same healing abilities that I had before, but we're going to see two different choices to change the way two of our major abilities function. Okay, so next up, Stim Boost, you'll pick up at level 23, much like before. Oh, wait a second, does Stim Boost? Oh, that's cool. Okay, so Stim Boost actually changes depending on what spec you're in. I didn't realize that until right now. Some of the other specs do the same thing, but the actual icon changes along with it. So at level 23, your Stim Boost as a Concealment Operative. You're going to inject yourself with Special Stim. You get Tactical Advantage, and you boost Alacrity by 10% and critical hit damage by 20% for 15 seconds. As Lethality, you get your Tactical Advantage, restore 10 energy, you boost Alacrity for 10% for 15 seconds, and grant Revitalizers, which restore 5% of total health every 3 seconds and reduce damage received by 20%. Does not break stealth, so it also becomes defensive. That's cool. And then as a Medicine Operative, you get Tactical Advantage, a boost of Alacrity for 15 seconds, and grants Enduring Colto when activated, making your next Colto Infusion or Colto Injection activate instantly. Does not break stealth. So 23, you'll pick up Colto Injection, a big part of your healing as a operative medicine healer. And that is just a single target, big ol' heal, grants a tactical advantage. And how can we change that at level 27 through our three choices? The first is Colto Stim. Colto Injection grants a tactical advantage when used on yourself. Second, Colto Injection heals up to 8 allies around you when used on yourself. And lastly, Colto Injection increases the damage reduction on any target it heals by 5% for 10 seconds. That's super interesting. So you can change it into an AoE heal to all around you. You can change it to giving yourself tactical advantage if you heal yourself, or you can use it as kind of a baby shield on anyone you heal with Colto Injection. So next up, at level 35, you're going to have that same choice. Here's your 4-second stun. Here is your evasion boost, a defensive one. And here's your boost to your knives, which I hope you're not using too much as a healer. At level 39, you're going to pick up Recuperative Nanotech. And that is a healing over time ability. It's over 9 seconds, and it also gives them a special buff called Invigorate, and they'll get 3% more healing from all sources if they have that on them. And here's how it can be changed. So at level 43, you got 3 options. The first is Nanotech Stim. For each target affected by Recuperative Nanotech, the cooldown of Stim Boost is reduced by 2 seconds. Nanomark is the second option. Initial target of Recuperative Nanotech receives 20% increased healing from you for the duration of Recuperative Nanotech. So it's over 9 seconds. You got that extra healing on them. And lastly, Critical Nanotech. For each subsequent target affected by Recuperative Nanotech, the critical hit chance of Recuperative Nanotech is increased by 10%. So very interesting. Definitely encouraging you to spread the Nanotech love there. So at level 47, you'll have that similar interesting little choice where you've got Tactical Overdrive as a actual ability that you click. And then the 2 other options are having Tactical Advantage, increases all damage and healing dealt by 5%, just a very kind of passive boost. Or activating Stim Boost increases your healing done by 15% for 15 seconds. And so at level 51, you'll pick up Surgical Probe, one of those big heals that you can use when you have tactical advantage. And then at level 60, you'll start making those exact same choices. At level 64, you'll pick up Colto Waves. And 73 is going to be a weird and interesting one for healers. So you'll have Infiltrate, which is your group stealth. You'll have Flashbang, which is your group stun. And Hollow Traverse, which teleports you to the enemy target. That's going to be a really weird one to pick between for healers. I don't think there's quite a clear winner for when it comes to operations or PvE content when you're playing alone, especially because you don't want to go close to whatever you're trying to attack if you're healing. You don't want to stun things in most content, like Operation or something like that, and you don't want to stealth in most content during operations. But it is, of course, going to be a hard choice, as always, for healers going into PvP who may need both, or want both, the Flashbang stun. Probably is going to be the clear choice for PvP, I think, and for your cloak. Who knows, your group might need that, especially in arenas. So there we go. We've taken a look at Concealment, Lethality, and Medicine on the Star Wars The Old Republic test server. As I said, we don't know how far away we are from knowing whether these are completed or if there's going to be changes along the way. I'm going to show you real fast the Medicine Operative passes before we go. So we got Surgical Steadiness will be at level 1. At level 23, we'll have Surprise Surgery. At level 35, we'll have Medical Engineering. At level 43, we'll have Patient Studies. At level 51, we'll have Surgical Precision. At level 60, we'll have Accomplished Doctor. At level 68, we'll have Medical Consult. At level 73, we'll have Tactical Medicine. And at level 78, we'll have Curative Jolt. I hope you enjoyed this look at how the trees are changing coming up in the expansion. I would love to hear, especially about your thoughts if you play an operative on that level 73 choice between your group stealth, your group stun, and your little teleport leap, as I don't play operative quite as much as I know you guys do. If you want to show your support for these news videos or all my other guides about Star Wars The Old Republic, visit Swtorista.com/support. And if you want more videos like this and other guides to show up on your YouTube homepage, subscribe to this channel. I've also got a ton of the other classes up on my channel or their mirrors, so you can take a look and see what those different combat styles look like on the test server. See you guys later. Have a good one.